Hello, friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. All right, today's third and final session at the Texas Workforce Commission. This one's called First Impressions, and it's about just making sure you look the part, look presentable for future bosses, and it's also going to go through a series of mock interviews and that kind of stuff to prepare you for your interview with potential employers. So this should be an interesting one. Like I said, this is going to be the third and final one. So let's get it going. All right, so I'm done with the third seminar, and that was also a very productive one. It went a little quicker than yesterday's session because there wasn't really so much one-on-one. There were 3 people in the class on this one, just like before. But a lot of it, it wasn't like any hands-on work where we're doing computer stuff. It was more like just a group session where we asked questions and the instructor kind of just helped us all, and we could go. It's just almost like a round table kind of thing, and it was very productive. Got me to think about some things that I haven't really thought about in the past, like sometimes during interviews they'll ask you questions just to see how you deal with things, and I remember that one of the questions was one that's like tripped me up in the past. It's like, what is your weakness? What do you think your weaknesses are, and how and I've always kind of gotten hung up on questions like that, and in reality probably what I need to do is just think it through ahead of time and figure out what I'm going to say, because not only do they want to hear you say what you think your weaknesses are, but they also want to kind of hear how you're addressing that and how you're dealing with your weakness, so that they can see that you're capable of improving yourself and all that fun stuff. And so that's the kind of question I think I'm going to have to go home and spend some time thinking about. Also, one of the other participants in the class pointed out that one of the questions that they've gotten tripped up on is, what do you think you're going to be able to bring to the company? And that's another one that I would maybe get tripped up on myself. So, even though that wasn't on the list of questions, I'm probably going to spend a little time thinking about that to figure out what I could say. For this QA one, I think it'll be a pretty easy answer, but it's going to be one of those things that's going to be a different answer depending on what job it is that I'm applying for. So once again, like I said, I thought this was a very productive seminar. All 3 of them were well worth the time I spent there, and I feel much better now, prepared to deal with it. One of the things I've had to deal with is I haven't really had to interview a whole bunch, and when I have, it's been years and years and years ago. We kind of went around the room towards the end of the class, and she was asking, so yeah, what kind of questions have you gotten hung up on? And I started thinking, I've been at Disney for 11 years, and before that, when I was in the CD world, it was 1986 last time I had a real interview, because that was when I started at DMI, and they didn't know me from anyone, so they had to find out who I was. But when I went from DMI, for instance, to WIA, they recruited me away from there. So I went into the interview with them already wanting me. And so, they were more interested in what I knew and all that stuff. And that was very easy to discuss. So I haven't really had to deal with, in a very long time and in any kind of a substantive way, questions like that. So it was beneficial to hear all that, and like I said, I got to go home and do some thinking now. So I've been home now for a little while and spent some time kind of studying those 10 questions, and feel I'm a little better prepared for that and any eventual interview that would come along. Still want to spend a little bit more time on it, but I have a little bit of an outside project to do today as well. You may recall on 2 occasions in the past I have put reflective tape on the pole that supports the carport next to my carport, so I could tell which one's mine at night, because it's kind of dark out there. The first time I put it on, the tape got removed because they replaced all of the support poles for the carports. I figured they had to do some of it because some of them were literally almost bent in half. They were like literally, some car had hit them at some point in the past, and they were bent to such a point where you hit another couple of them, and who knows, the whole carport could collapse. So when they started working on those, I really wasn't worried because the pole that I had my reflective tape on, was in pretty good shape. It hadn't been hit by anything, so I only figured they were going to just replace the ones that were in really bad shape. But they actually did probably the right thing by replacing all of them. So that first pole was removed, and of course the tape that was on it was also removed. So when they put the new pole in, I went out and bought some more of that reflective tape and attached it. Well, about a week later, they decided to paint all those poles, and they couldn't leave the tape on there, so they peeled it off. So once again, the pole doesn't have any reflective tape on it. So I got to go buy some more of that. Hopefully this isn't one of those the definition of insanity things, but it looks like they should probably be done now, and I don't think they're removing it maliciously. It's just, you can't leave the tape there when you remove the pole, and obviously if you're going to paint over it, you don't want to have tape on it, because that's going to be an area either you end up painting over and you don't have good adherence, or you end up with an area that isn't painted, which is also a problem because then there's a rust issue. Now, one of the things I've kind of noticed about this place, and it's probably part of the reason why I'm kind of going a little bit easy on them in terms of the repairs, I'm beginning to wonder now if there's like new management in here and they're really trying to get this place knocked into shape, because for the amount of work and for the amount of modifications and changes and beautification projects and stuff that they're doing right now, it seems to me if they'd been doing that consistently, this place wouldn't be the disaster it has been. So I suspect maybe there was a new owner that came in here recently, and probably, I don't know how long this apartment was empty between when the person before me moved out and when I moved in, but maybe that the fact that they had done all the work in here was kind of indicative of what they're doing for the whole complex, because they're doing so much right now. I wouldn't have expected them to work on those carports the way they did. They've painted the entire community. They've added some new amenities here that are nice for the people who live here. So I really kind of get the feeling that they're trying to kind of whip this place into shape. And of course, when it's been neglected as long as this place appears to have been, that's a big task. So I'm cutting them a little bit of slack on that. And for that reason, I think I'll probably be pretty safe putting some new reflective tape on the pole, because it shouldn't get pulled down again. So let's run over to Home Depot and get a third pack of reflective tape. Now, fortunately for me, finding this reflective tape should be pretty easy this time, because, hey, I've been there 3 times buying it now, so I at least know where exactly to go. Not something I could say about the first time I went there. Now, that doesn't mean I can't criticize them a little bit for some of the shoddy work they did, but even with in the case of like the shoddy work that the painters did, I'm sure that wasn't, I know that wasn't the maintenance crew themselves. I hired some outside contractor to come in and do that, and so I can criticize them for painting over the weather stripping and not doing a complete job on the doors and leaving drip marks and all, because that isn't really the maintenance crew that did that. That was the outside contractor. And I'm sure just like when the government orders something, they go to a bunch of people that are capable of doing the job and put it out to bids, and whoever offers to do it cheapest is the one that gets the job. Unfortunately, and that's the way it works in the world. Nobody says, it's never a competition who can do the best job. No, it's who can do the job the cheapest. So, that's what you end up getting when you deal with that, and that's what you get with the government too. So whatever. That's just how it is. That's just how it works sometimes. Plus, it's never a bad time to go to Home Depot, right? And there it is. One of them and one of them. Hopefully that'll be the last time. And while I'm in the neighborhood, I decided to get one of these. This is an electrical outlet checker. Basically, it's a handy little tool. You plug it into the wall, and depending on what combination of lights are lit up here, it'll tell you if there's any problems with the way you've wired everything up. So ideally, it looks like on this one, if it works right, the 2 yellow lights, the one in the middle and the one on the right, will light up. If any of the red ones or any of the other lights light up, that's a problem. I actually got a couple of these but I haven't been able to dig them out of the storage locker yet. And since they're so small, it was just easier to get another one. So a number of people have been commenting on my videos for the past couple of days, pointing out links to this article about Abigail Disney, who I guess is the grandniece of Walt. I don't know, like, does that make her Roy's granddaughter or what? I'm not sure exactly. You know, kind of expecting maybe me to have a comment on it. The truth is, I really don't. I've kind of resisted commenting too much on it because whatever it is that Abigail is talking about, you know, that doesn't match my experience. Are there people at Disney who, you know, are in tough financial shape and maybe living out of their cars and stuff like that? Yes, I do believe there are. In fact, I'm pretty sure I know of one of them at least. But my experience with Disney was never a gripe over not having enough money, if anything, and I've been vocal about this on multiple occasions. I always thought that Disney, that what we got paid for the work we did was fair, perhaps even a little bit generous. And the truth is, starting the new year this year in 2019, Disney raised the minimum wage at the company up to $15 an hour. And in my case, you know, since you know, I was a little bit further ahead, had some seniority and some experience and stuff like that, my wage actually went up to like $16.40 an hour. That was a significant jump because I was just a little under 13 before that. But like I said, my problem with Disney was always, you know, just that the management kind of played favorites, and if they didn't like you, that you wouldn't get promotion opportunities, and there was no chance for you to move. You know, I don't know. That's my thoughts on the subject. You're free to disagree if you want, but that's where I am. I decided to stop at the storage locker on the way home. I'm barbecuing out often enough right now, and I had all my barbecue utensils in the storage locker. I knew exactly where it was, so I stopped on the way home to get those. So I kind of got to admit, I'm actually a little bit afraid to start plugging this into outlets. You'd think by now I'd know better than to open up things when I don't really want to know the answer, but you know what? Got to do it sometimes. With my luck, that thing will probably explode when I plug it in anyway. So I think that's all I have for today. So as always, I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.